Hi, and welcome to the user interface tutorial for Saviom ERM Web. In this video, we'll be going through the structure of Saviom, explaining the different tabs, the different reports that we provide, the different functionalities that are there, and some of the terminology that's there to get you really familiar when you start using the tool. So depending on my security type and the access that I have been provided, the system will decide which portal to open and what functionalities I should be shown. So just putting in my details as an engineering resource manager, place in my password, and then I can log in straight from there. For example, because I'm a resource manager, I've been given access to the resource manager portal, and I'll have certain security rights that are probably already preset within Saviom. Depending on these preset rights, the appropriate screen will appear. So in my case, as I'm an engineering resource manager, I'll have viewing capabilities of various different portals within the system. So right now as a resource manager, I can see the enterprise schedule, the project tab, the resources, and a variety of different reports. And if I wanted to, I could access and enter the portal of a project manager and also an individual resource. Now normally each user has an access to one portal at a time. And that means that depending on their security rights and access rights, it determines what screen and what portals to show and what all data that I am able to manipulate. Such access and security right information is stored by Saviom and maintained by the administrator throughout the Saviom setup and administrator module. Now, let's look into some of the individual portals that I'm talking about. Now, as a resource manager, I also have rights to look into, let's say, the project manager. Now, if I wanted to go as a project manager, you can see how it's very differently structured to the resource manager portal. Over here, there's a specific project schedule, the person's own projects, my project utilization, and some basic reports, so the utilization, cost versus revenue one. Or let's say if we change the scene to the resource portal. Over here you can see that the scene is very different as well. Instead, you can see that the person can see their own schedule, their own utilization levels, and some details of their own profile. It must be noted that the security access rights allocated to any of the roles that I've shown can be configured. So for example, if you want to give more access rights and functionalities to, let's say, the individual resource, you can change that within the system admin module. Or if you want to do the same for the project manager or the resource manager or the department manager, that can be done as well. How to make such changes is covered in the how-to configuration tutorials. Now, going back to the resource manager portal, you'll be able to see that I've been allocated and given a variety of different tabs over here that gives me a variety of different information. So I have the enterprise schedule, the project and the resource tab, which give me project and resource information, and a variety of different reports as I had mentioned earlier. Now each of these high-level tabs have individual tabs as well. So for example, there's an enterprise schedule one for the enterprise schedule high-level tab, so I can see the chart here. Or if I wanted a report version of that, I can generate that over here as well. So once again, the portal that I select will determine the tabs within the screen, whether it's the high level or lower level tabs, and also it can be configured by the system administrator, and this is also covered within the how-to configuration tutorials. Now that I've discussed the high level tabs of the software, I want to delve into the deeper parts of the tool. So let's say the specifics of how the screen is structured. So let's take the resource tab for example. And as you can see, the screen is broken up into three individual sections. The first part is the view section, the second, the filter section, and finally, the output section. It should be noted that these three parts in the screen are within every tab within the software and can contain varying degrees of capability. Firstly, the view section determines how you want the information on the screen displayed. So for example, do you want the information to be sorted by team as it is right now? Or do you want it to be seen by job title, maybe by the primary role, maybe by the employee type? And there's also a variety of other sort by configurations as well that you can add on. So going back to the team view, you can further determine if you want the level of information displayed. So for example, right now you can see all your resources that are expanded within each of their teams that they're at. But if you want to minimize that, you can collapse all. Now, to give you a comparison, let's say the view section of an enterprise schedule tab. Over here gives you a lot more of a variety, so you can see a lot of different other information. So in this scenario, because it's a booking chart, you can see a team and resource view, a project plus resource view, or a location plus resource view. It just gives you a whole different angle of things. Now, continuing along with this screen, you can also determine the amount of data that you want to see through the filter area. What we can currently see is the quick filter section. So these about 7 to 8 fields are most relevant for me when I search for a resource or a set of resources. So for example, let's say I only want to see a specific team. I can make that quick filter over here. So let's say just the infrastructure team. Or in that case, if I wanted to really just specify for it from a specific resource, I can select from over here. And let's say just select that specific resource I want to look at. So let's say maybe it's just Kane over here. Going back, so if the quick filter searches aren't enough, I can go into an advanced search and really filter down for the specific resources I want to see. So let's say in this case, for example, you can see the location, or let's say if I wanted to, let's say, specify by certification, I can do so, or maybe probability as well. Like most of the software, the fields within the search section can be easily configured, and you can determine which filtering fields you would like within your quick filter and advanced search options. So if location and let's say employee type were highly relevant for you, you can move them up into your quick filter section and replace the department and team fields. These configurations can be made by the administrator. The third section, the output section, is essentially there to extract the information that you have. So our first option is the print preview option. So from here, you can either then print or even extract it onto a PDF document if you have a PDF reader. Finally, you can also refresh the screen, which can also be done by the search option over here. Now coming back to the resource tab, we also have the ability to configure the screen and have it set with that display for when you want to enter the software. So for example, whenever I enter the resource tab, the data will always be sorted by team and the information will be expanded, and these are the set columns that will be displayed. Now, with Saviom, every individual user has the ability to configure the display screen according to his or her individual need. So for example, if I go to the configure section over here, you can see that the screen is configured on a system level. So to change the screen to how I would like to view it, I can change it to my configuration. It must be noted that these screen changes will only be visible to me and will not affect any other user. So after putting my configuration, I can essentially change how I'd like the screen to appear. So in this case, let's say in the drop downs for the filters, right now I have all of them open. Now I can also then determine the columns that I'd like to view. Currently right now I have the login ID, active, close, start and end date columns open and a variety of others. Well, let's say if I want to add, let's say maybe the job title column, the email ID, I can do so as well. I can then determine on what number I want them. So if job title I want to be appearing a lot higher, I can do so as well. And you can accordingly see it. And then I can preview it as well. So over here you can see that job title has come up on the 4th column as opposed to the last one before. I can then also go into my filter details as well. So for example, if I wanted the filter to automatically just show my department as opposed to all the department resources, I can do so over here and just select my department. Or if I wanted to even be more specific with it, I can just select and say that I only want to see my own team. And accordingly, you can make a variety of other filters that will be preset accordingly whenever you load this specific screen. Now this type of configuration can be made throughout any of the screens within the software as well. So that comes to the end for the user interface tutorial for Saviom ERM Web. I hope this helps. Thanks.